waited for this night. He's waited for me. I've waited for him. You don't believe in the boogeyman? He's here! Michael! You should.
Halloween came out in the year 2018 and was directed by David Gordon Green. This film would mark the beginning of a brand new timeline within the Halloween franchise, a timeline that would only recognize the events of that original 1978 Halloween film and then skip every entry, skip all of the lore that had been built, all the way to Halloween of 2018, 40 years after Michael Myers had come home. And so today I'm continuing on with my Halloween movie review series where I'm watching each and every one of the films in the Halloween franchise and then reviewing those movies every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of October 2025, leading up to the spookiest day of the year, Halloween of 2025, where I will be dropping a full rank list for the entire franchise from the worst to the best. So today, let's do the review for Halloween 2018.
Michael Myers is alive.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
So Halloween 2018 would once again bring back Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, but again because this film takes place 40 years after the events of that original film, and it doesn't follow the events of any film that came after that original 1978 film, that means that there's certain things with Laurie and Michael that never took place in this timeline. For instance, in the first timeline of this franchise, you find out that Michael and Laurie are brother and sister in Halloween 2, while Halloween 2 never happened in this timeline, so they're no longer brother and sister. There was never a Cult of Thorn timeline, so that means that Laurie never died in a car crash and her daughter would go on to be terrorized by Michael Myers. There was never an H2O timeline, so Laurie would never have a son that would be terrorized by Michael Myers, and she would never die in the film Halloween Resurrection. No, this film would ignore all of those events, and so we would just catch up with Laurie Strode 40 years after that original night. And catching up with her in this film, you find out that she now has a daughter. Her daughter's name is Karen, played by Judy Greer. And her daughter has a daughter, so that means Laurie has a granddaughter named Allison, played by Andy Matichik. So right off the bat in this film, you find out that there's a lot of tension between both Laurie and Karen. The way that Karen was raised, the way she was brought up, was to defend herself at all costs from the boogeyman. And now Karen's an adult and has kind of gotten away from her mother. Her mother lives in seclusion out in the woods. She kind of keeps to herself, and she likes it that way. And now she's raised her own daughter completely opposite of the way that Karen was raised growing up. And so now Allison is a teenager and she kind of wants to have a relationship with her grandmother, but again, it's always been kind of strained because of that bridge between both her and her mother and her grandmother. The film opens up at Smith's Grove Sanitarium on October 30th of 2018, where a couple of journalists, who are really just podcasters, have found a way to get a final interview with Michael Myers. They've talked to the new doctor of Smith's Grove Sanitarium, which is Dr. Sartan. You find out that he worked very closely with Dr. Loomis, and he was very interested in Michael Myers and what made Michael Myers tick, what made him go off that night in 1978 before he was shot out of a window and brought back to Smith's Grove Sanitarium, where he would continue to be silent for 40 years. But the podcasters feel like they have a little bit of a trick up their sleeve. They feel like they have something that might get Michael Myers to give them some sort of a reaction, and that is the original Michael Myers mask, the one that he wore in 1978. They say they've got a friend that was in the Attorney General's office, and they were able to get this mask for this interview. And so as they walk up to Michael in this yard where he's chained to the ground, they try to talk to him. He won't answer. They pull out the mask. They show it to Michael. Michael has his back to them, but he clearly notices the mask is there. All of the other inmates in the yard start to go kind of crazy. And then we cut to a new intro for Halloween. After the podcasters don't get the exact reaction that they're hoping out of Michael Myers, they have one more stop on their trip, and that that is the home of Laurie Strode. When they get there, it's completely guarded with a gate, barbed wire. You find out Laurie Strode has many locks on the door and many guns in the house, and for the last 40 years, she's been prepping for a night that Michael Myers might be returning. That interview also does not go very well for them. In fact, the rest of their day doesn't go very well because that night, Michael Myers is able to escape when he's been transferred from Smith's Grove Sanitarium, and after he escapes, the first thing he does is track down those journalists with his mask. And this would be the first sign in this new trilogy that they would be going towards the mask and Michael Myers having some sort of a supernatural connection to each other, because this mask seems to give Michael Myers that bloodlust or that ability to really go and kill everybody in his path. Once he gets that mask back, well, it's straight back to Haddonfield to create all kinds of chaos on Halloween night. A Halloween night where Laurie Strode has been waiting for Michael Myers for 40 years. And that is the best synopsis that I can give you for Halloween 2018. And if that sounds like a fun time, well, I would highly recommend that you check this out. It is one of, if not my favorite entry into the entire Halloween franchise. I love this film for so many different reasons, and we're going to get into my positives and negatives for Halloween 2018 here in a second. But before I do that, if this is the first time you found my channel, well, I would love for you guys to hit that subscribe button, check out all the different content that I have. Whether you like movie reviews, Blu-ray talk, or even ranked list videos, I've got a little bit of everything on my channel, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. All right, let's get into my positives and my negatives for Halloween 2018.
Yeah, I mean, your grandmother is Laurie Strode. She was almost murdered.
Wasn't it her brother who murdered all those babysitters?
No, it was not her brother. That's something that people made up.
Do you know that I pray every night that he would escape?
What the hell did you do that for?
So I can kill him.
My first positive for this movie is going to be that opening title sequence. Listen, I'm a sucker for a great Halloween franchise film opening title sequence that's done right, and I think this one is done so damn right. From the opening where the journalist is holding out that mask, yelling Michael's name, for Michael to seemingly ignore him, and then that iconic Halloween theme song starts, and then you cut to the actors' names, and you see the same color and font of the actors' names in this film that we saw in that original 1978 film, and the return of that iconic Halloween pumpkin in the opening title sequence. We see that it's been trampled on, completely destroyed, or maybe just dead from 40 years, but then it starts to regain its shape, showing you that there's new life in this franchise. Just a great way to symbolize to the audience not only a callback to that original 1978 film, but that they were starting something new with the almost rebirth of that pumpkin. The next positive for this movie is the way that Jamie Lee Curtis is able to reinvent her character of Laurie Strode once again. We've already seen her do this once before, and I put it in my positives when I talked about it in H2O, because I thought she did a great job going from that teenage girl in that original 78 film to H2O, where she was now a grown woman who was trying to take control of her life. And I really liked that she battled with fear of that night still, wondering if her brother Michael Myers was still out there. And so they do something again unique with her character in this film, where she's not the sibling to Michael Myers, but because of that horrific night in 1978, she still fears the shape, she still fears the boogeyman Michael Myers. You see how that fear has not only wrecked her own life 40 years later, but it's wrecked any relationship that she's ever had with anyone, including her daughter and her granddaughter. And just the way that Jamie Lee Curtis is able to reinvent that character and portray this character that's so terrified of Michael Myers, but also just wants this to be over. There's also a bit of regret mixed in with this character that I really love, because she spent her whole life and sacrificed all of these relationships waiting for Michael Myers to come back. There's a moment at the beginning of the film where she is given this money by reporters that she then takes and gives to her granddaughter as a gift, and she says, here's this money, go do something fun with it. And she's like, I can't take this money from you, Grandma. And she's like, listen, go do something, travel somewhere, go to Mexico. And she's like, could you imagine if I went there? And she looks at her and she says, yeah, I could. And in that moment, you can see that regret of her not living her life to the fullest because she's been afraid of this boogeyman coming back into her life. This boogeyman that seemingly has no connection to her in this timeline. And I thought that was so powerful. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was able to do that so damn well. My next positive is that the director, David Gordon Green, and the writers, one of which was Danny McBride, and it's always funny to me that he helped write a Halloween movie. The guy can do everything. I love Danny McBride, but I love the way that they balanced out the tones in this film, whether it's the scares, the drama for Laurie Strode and her daughters, maybe it's even even the carnage from Michael Myers or the laughs that are peppered into this film. It's not a comedy in any way, shape, or form, but I love the laughs that they build into this, the moments of levity for you, the viewer, as Michael Myers is making his way through the town. And I love the tension that's built as you see Michael Myers and Laurie Strode on this path to each other. I think the balance between all of those tones is a hard one to do in a slasher film in general, but especially a slasher film within the Halloween franchise. You never want to be too corny or goofy like some of the previous entries in the franchise. You never want to be too serious because, again, you're making a slasher film, but you do want those dramatic moments to hit, and you do want those funny moments to help the audience get through some of the moments of tension throughout this film. And again, I think they're all perfectly balanced throughout the movie. The next positive in this movie is the way they portray the relationship between both Michael Myers and Laurie Strode throughout this film. Keep in mind, in this timeline, they're not brother and sister, so you've got a Laurie Strode that's been basically doomsday prepping for 40 years, waiting for the boogeyman to come back. She's ruined relationships like her daughter's relationship and her relationship with her granddaughter over the last 40 years. She's secluded herself. She's clearly wants to be on her own, and she's terrified that day the boogeyman might come back. To make things even more tragic for Laurie Strode's story in this film, it seems like Michael Myers doesn't really have an agenda to go after Laurie Strode. He's been locked in this sanitarium for 40 years, and he's not tried to escape. In fact, he only gets out on that night in 2018 because he has help on that bus. There's someone that wants to see what Michael Myers will do if he is let loose once again. And so Michael Myers does go after that mask because, again, it seems like he has some sort of a bloodlust connection to that mask. Once the mask goes on, he's killing everybody in his path, but it doesn't seem like he's specifically going after Laurie Strode. And this is made even more evident in the film when he's not going after Laurie. He's actually put in the direction of Laurie Strode on purpose just to see what the final showdown will be like. Someone has a sick desire to see what it will be like when Laurie Strode and Michael Myers meet again. And I think there's something so tragic about that story where Laurie Strode has prepped for 40 years for the boogeyman to come home, and he doesn't seem to have thought about her at all.
I feel bad for you.
I don't think about you at all.
And that'll eventually lead to my next positive in this film, and that is the final showdown between Laurie and Michael in this movie. I absolutely love it. You've got Michael and Laurie fighting at the front door. She's able to shoot a couple of his fingers off. He does manage to get in the house and go after Laurie, but now she is playing cat and mouse games with him like he was with her in 1978. In fact, at one point, he even throws her out of a window, and she's missing from the ground below because that's the way things went in 1978 in reverse. And so there's a lot of callbacks to that original film, but of course all of that culminates with Michael Myers confronting all three of the girls in the Strode family as they're able to shoot him in the neck, knock him into the basement, and then show that the basement was never a hiding place, it was a trap for Michael Myers, because they turn the gas on, they light the fire, the flames start to engulf Michael Myers, you see the girls get out of the house, you see Michael Myers just completely engulfed in flames, and the movie ends, seemingly ending the fight between both Laurie and Michael. But we all know he's going to come back in the next movie. And my final positive for this movie is going to be two scenes in particular within this film that I think help elevate this movie above so many others in the Halloween franchise. The first one of those scenes is a brutal but somewhat funny scene. It has to do with Allison, who's Laurie's granddaughter. She's walking home from a dance. She just broke up with her boyfriend, and her friend Oscar is walking home with her and wanting to be there for her, but also kind of wanting to be with her. Oscar tries to go in for a kiss. She pushes him away, and then as they're cutting through this yard, she jumps over a fence and she's just like, leave me alone. He's laying there on the ground like, oh, I can't believe I just did that. He looks over and he sees Michael Myers just standing in this yard. And at this point, Michael Myers has been slicing and dicing his way through Haddonfield, and so you know he means business, and Michael's just staring at him, and there's this light that's on like a sensor, and so it goes out, and then when it comes back on, Michael's a little closer, and so he's kind of creeped out by Michael, and he's like, hey man, I don't know what your deal is, and then the lights cut out again, and Michael is right in his face, and then Michael goes for a slash. He gets cut. Oscar tries to run away from him, makes it to the gate, but can't climb over it due to getting his cape stuck on something. And then Michael Myers just stabs him to death. And it is a great scene. Again, it makes me laugh every time I watch it, but also it's a brutal scene. I love that scene in this movie. And the other scene that I absolutely love in this film is the one-shot scene when Michael Myers returns from Haddonfield. Now, I don't think it's a true one-shot scene. I think there are some cuts that they're able to hide, but essentially in this scene, you have Michael Myers return. He grabs a hammer, kills someone, grabs a knife, and the camera follows him as he goes house to house, killing people, leading up to a woman who's being called about, hey, there's some strange stuff going on. And you see her through the window as Michael sees her, and then you stay on that window as Michael Myers goes to the back of the house, and then you see him come in the house, and he's behind the girl. Now she's up against the window, getting ready to close the shades, and right as she's going to close the shades, Michael Myers gets her, and it's just this great couple moments of Michael Myers going house to house in Haddonfield, meaning business. And again, it's shot so damn well. I believe I read that they took 11 takes to get this scene exactly how they wanted it, but I think that paid off because this is my favorite scene in the entire movie. That'll do it for my positives. Now we have to get into my negatives, and I really only have one negative for this film, and it has to do with Laurie Strode. Now, earlier I said that I put it in my positives as her and Michael having a different kind of relationship in this franchise. Like, yes, he did go after her originally, but as far as this timeline goes, they're not related in any way, shape, or form, so she has a tragic story sort of wasting her life. But another thing that storyline does, and it makes it a negative for me, is it makes Laurie Strode less important. And what I mean by that is that because Michael doesn't have this vendetta to go after Laurie like he has in previous timelines, you just have to hope that Michael Myers and Laurie Strode are going to run into each other. Now, I think they do it pretty well in this movie. I think that Michael's pointed in the right direction several times, and so eventually you get that showdown between Michael and Laurie that we're waiting for, but it would hurt this timeline going forward, and so I put it as a negative in this film because this film decided to do that. They decided to say, hey, these two aren't related at all. There's really no connection between them. Michael is just killing at random as he goes, and Laurie does have a bit of a vengeance from that 1978 night, or wants to see Michael in the ground, but Michael doesn't really have a purpose to go after Laurie, and I think that would end up hurting her character even more as this timeline continues. But overall, I absolutely love this film. It's one of my favorite entries into the entire franchise, and it's a film that I think perfectly does what so many other entries into this franchise failed to do, and that is give you great connective tissue between these two films. They feel so cohesive with each other. You can watch 1978's Halloween and 2018's Halloween back to back and truly feel like you stepped into a story that was planned that way the entire time. But guys, those are just my opinions because that's my review for Halloween 2018. Have you guys had a chance to see this film? If you have, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know your favorite part, your least favorite part. Let me know the things that you're not a fan of in this timeline in general. And as always, guys, if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button because it helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, guys, we got to the end of my Halloween 2018 review. I absolutely loved revisiting this film again. Again, it's one of my favorites in the entire franchise, and I've loved doing all these reviews. Can't wait to review the final two films in this franchise and then rank everything for you guys. But until then, if you want to check out any of the other content on my channel, well, I've got all of my horror movie reviews right there, and I've got all of my Halloween movie review series right there.